I'm Steve Parkinson.
And I'm Harrison Blair.
Welcome to the group. How are you finding it so far?
Thanks, mate. Yeah, look, I'm really enjoying it. It's a fantastic experience, great opportunity to learn, and also refereeing a lot of football, which is exciting. So, yeah, really enjoying it. Thank you.
Excellent. And what would you say is the biggest difference from last season to this season now being in the group?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm operating at the same level. I think the difference is in terms of the support services. So a lot of the things we do include like the physical programme performance that we do at the moment, which is quite strenuous but really enjoyable, and I'm sort of seeing the benefits of that on the pitch, which is really important. But also like we're doing a lot more in terms of reviewing the games that we've done before. You'll have undoubtedly done this a lot over the last 3 years, but I think it's a really good opportunity to learn from the skills that we've showed in the game, but also the things that we can improve on as well. So I think the biggest difference is in terms of the off-the-field stuff rather than just the on-field stuff.
Certainly, I think that's what I found as well when I sort of stepped into the group, is that sort of onus on you looking at your own performance and going, you know, I'm happy with this, or I'm good with that, or Christ, I didn't realise I sound like that type thing, you know. So I think it's a really interesting sort of change from where you used to be to where it is now. You mentioned obviously the training as well, just that top level coaching advice, the top level sports science advice, everything. Have they been working you hard? How is your physical training going?
Yeah, definitely working us hard. So we've got an app that we work on, as you know, that gives us training sessions at sort of 5 or 6 times a week. As I say, it's really enjoyable, and I'm enjoying the sort of physical side of things because it's something I sort of enjoyed beforehand. And as I say, I think when you see the transitions on the pitch and movement, etc., it's fantastic.
Certainly, yeah. And I think that's it, isn't it? Because when you see that physical performance and effort you're putting in come off, it feels great, doesn't it? It feels great. You know, you're working across loads of different competitions. So for me, I really enjoy working on the Premier League International Cup because you're doing international teams that you wouldn't normally be sort of used to doing. And obviously for me, I think sort of the biggest and most sort of proud one I've done is my Football League debut. You know, you go into football to get to that level. So walking out there with the EFL badge on your chest, smiling, looking at all the crowd, it's just a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. I suppose a question for me to you, given the fact that you've been so experienced on the group, is how have you found it transitioning between the levels? Because when you started on the group, if I remember correctly, you were operating at the level I am now. How have you found that transition?
I think it's always an interesting sort of thing to reflect on, isn't it? Because you kind of don't realise the progression you're making at the time, and then 2.5 years later, you look back and think, wow, I've come really far. I think the coaching team are really good at sort of pushing you when you're ready. And that doesn't mean, it's easy when you step in or anything like that. It just means when you're ready for the next challenge, they go, okay, let's go, let's see how you go, coach you on that and do it. So I think for me, it just felt like that natural step and that natural sort of progression. Nothing was too difficult. Nothing was too, wow, where am I? It just seemed like I was ready for it and ready to step into it. So I've just sort of taken it in the stride. How have you found working with your coach?
Yeah, so I found it fantastic. So my coach is Mike Tingy, and he's amazing. He's got a sort of forensic eye for detail, and has shown me already in a few months things that I haven't necessarily seen in my game before. We do sort of calls beforehand and after games as well, and those have been fantastic to pick up trends. So for me, I think the biggest learning piece I've had this season is it's been my first season using the communication kit. So obviously I've been refereeing for 14 years now, which seems like a lifetime, I know, but I've never heard myself back and what I sounded like on the pitch, and I think that's definitely been one of the biggest learning points, is trying to make yourself calmer and communicate in an effective way, not just with players but with your team as well, and that's been the biggest learning piece I've had. So been working with Mike, and I feel like we've come a long way already, but realise we've still got a load of work to do just to get me to that next level, which is obviously where my goal is at the moment.
It is like stepping into that professional sporting environment where, as you said, anything that you might need to assist you on the pitch, assist you off the pitch, you've got that at your disposal, and you can use it and step in, and even things that might be impacting your game sort of indirectly. They can help with lifestyle factors. They can help with things at home if necessary, just like you would do in a professional sporting environment. So it's amazing, isn't it? It's very different, as you said, to that sort of semi-professional game, but it's everything that you want to succeed and everything you could want to succeed. So it's brilliant. Obviously, it's a relatively sort of new thing to us, being able to have all of these, support staff and people sort of there. And obviously we have to then ask or sort of take the ownership on that. So how have you found stepping out your comfort zone and asking for stuff like that?
Yeah, it's been great, and to be honest, it's just good to sometimes hear different voices. So although the work we're doing with my coach I'm really enjoying and it's working well and we've got a great relationship, sometimes it is good to hear some sort of external feedback on terms of what you're doing. And as I say, from a psychiatrist point of view, sometimes we'll talk about ways in which I'm interacting with players, and to hear that sort of different insight into it's really helpful. So there is an onus on you as a referee to reach out, but also they will try and come to you if they think, I haven't heard from you in a while and there's some interesting facts they want to bring into the game. So yeah, it's been really good.
Certainly, yeah. And I think, as you said, it's the different perspective. So, your technical coach might look at it and say, from a refereeing point of view, you've done this, why have you done that? Whereas the psychologist then looks at it and goes, actually, your body language said this, your words were saying it like that, and your tone was saying something else. So it's things that you don't even consider.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that then, have you had any difficult moments in the group so far, or, either on the pitch or off the pitch, anything like that?
Yes, I think in terms of challenges, sometimes it's important to look at things holistically. I know that's a word that the PGMOL use regularly at the moment, but I think for me, I had one game where I thought I'd done well on the pitch, but hadn't necessarily got the observation that I'd hoped for or wanted. That was really tough for me, but a lot of the support functions around the group were able to say, look, we're looking at this objectively and you think there's a good performance there. We don't necessarily have to worry too much about the observation. We'll learn from it, we'll take the feedback, etc. But I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges I've had since I've been in the group, but obviously I'm only relatively new at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's it, isn't it? I think using that support when things are difficult is really crucial. So I think for me it was as I said, going through the levels, the different scrutinies and different games and things like that. I worked closely with the psychology team to then say, actually, the expectations here are going to be completely different to there, which they're going to be completely different again to here. So here's how you can deal with that. Here's how you can listen to the noise, not listen to the noise, and that type of thing, which I think was really helpful. And I think for me as well, sort of over the past couple of years on the pitch, not everything goes right all the time, but it's about learning that and taking the sort of learning opportunities from those difficult moments, not saying I've made one mistake so I'm a bad referee, going, okay, I've made this potential error on the pitch, what can I do then to make sure that doesn't happen again? But actually a lot of that or this process was good until this point, so I'm going to take this and then just change the outcome. So I think that's the mentality that I've always taken, for sure. Yeah,
I think one thing for me is there was one time this season where I got a decision wrong, and I shared it with the group, and I think we're quite fortunate, aren't we, in the fact that the group is someone that's is one that's very collaborative, but also non-judgmental. So one thing we looked at was, look, the process was all right, it was just the decision was wrong, and how can we look and try and change that for the future to make sure that we get that decision right. And I think to be able to have the experience of the group, because we're all operating across different levels, and hear those things is really helpful in terms of our sort of future and onward progression. So yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Certainly, and I think, as you said about the group, with people being at different levels, it can sometimes feel daunting to sit there and speak to a Premier League referee and say, I think you should be doing this, and vice versa, at different levels. But I think with the togetherness of the group and with the honesty of the group, everyone is really, really sort of supportive, but also not afraid to go, that's not great, I would do this. And it's just a nice environment to be in. You want to challenge each other, everyone wants to get better and everyone understands that, but everyone's there to help each other, which I think is great.